All right, let's dive in. Today, we're taking a deep look at one of society's oldest and most important structures, marriage. But we're not going to be talking about wedding cakes or rom-coms. Nope. We're going to look at marriage as a piece of social architecture, a blueprint that shapes not just two people's lives, but the entire society around them. So to really get it, we have to start with a really big question. Seems pretty simple, right? I mean, it's about love, it's about commitment, it's about two people building a life together. But what if I told you that's only half the story? From a sociological point of view, there's a much bigger system at play here. Okay, so here's the key idea. Marriage is what sociologists call a social institution. The best way to think about it is less like a private deal between two people and more like a pre-existing framework. It's a whole set of rules and expectations that are already there, long before any couple says "I do," connecting them to the much wider worlds of law, economics, and culture. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look beyond the couple to see the bigger picture. Then we'll get into the fascinating idea of how marriage helps discipline our modern desires and gives us a kind of template for life. From there, we'll see how it creates something called social capital, look at its 6 core ideals, and finally wrap it all up by understanding why this institutional view is still so powerful. First things first, a marriage is always more than just the two people in it. Even though we experience it as this deeply personal, private thing, it's also very public. It's shaped by a whole set of legal and social boundaries that have nothing to do with a specific couple, which actually leads us perfectly into our next point. To really get a handle on how this whole institutional framework works, we've got to bring in a true heavyweight, the legendary sociologist Emil Durkheim. He had this really powerful theory about why marriage became so crucial, especially in the modern world. Durkheim started by pointing out a problem with modern life. See, for most of us, our basic needs for survival are met. So what do we want instead? We want luxury, comfort, status. And the thing about those desires is that they have no natural off switch. They can just keep growing, leaving us feeling kind of restless and unsatisfied. So, what's the fix? Well, for Durkheim, institutions like marriage provide what he called a salutary discipline. It sounds a little harsh, but it just means a healthy and beneficial structure. It helps to rein in those limitless impulses, it channels our ambitions, and it creates a kind of moral balance in our lives. Now, that quote is just fascinating, isn't it? When he says marriage closes the horizon, that sounds bad, like you're being trapped. But he meant the complete opposite. For Durkheim, it's not about being limited, it's about being focused. It takes this huge, vague need for love and gives it a concrete, definite target, which allows a person to finally find real, lasting satisfaction. And this whole idea of a pre-built structure, it really snaps into focus when you put marriage side by side with its modern alternative, cohabitation, or just, living together. The biggest difference here is the template. If you're cohabiting, you have total freedom, which is great, but it also means you have to invent your entire relationship from the ground up. I mean, every single rule. How do we split the bills? What's our relationship with our in-laws? Or are they even in-laws? There isn't even a standard word for your partner. Marriage, on the other hand, comes with a blueprint. It's an enforceable contract with a set of social expectations that pretty much everyone understands. And you can really see that difference laid out here. On one side, cohabitation is a big question mark. It's freedom, sure, but there's no clear map. On the other side, marriage is a formal contract, backed up by law and custom. I mean, think about it. When someone says, "This is my husband," that simple phrase communicates an entire system of meaning and obligation that everyone in the room gets, instantly. Now, this system of obligations brings us to another really cool concept. Marriage isn't just a moral or legal thing, it's also a powerful engine for creating something called social capital. Social capital isn't money you can hold in your hand. It's the wealth that exists in your relationships. It's the trust that lets you ask a neighbor to watch your house. It's that network of family you can call in an emergency. It's all the knowledge and support that flows through those connections. And marriage, it is a social capital factory. The moment you get married, you are instantly plugged into a whole new network of relatives and friends. It weaves this tight web of long-term obligations, creating a super reliable support system. It establishes you in a community, which helps build a reputation of trustworthiness. It's a massive, if invisible, asset. So if marriage is an institution with a template, what are the actual rules in that template? Well, sociologist Stephen Knock pinpointed 6 core ideals that have historically defined what he called normative marriage, at least in America. All right, let's just tick them off. First, it's expected to be voluntary, something you choose, and between mature adults. Historically, it's been defined as heterosexual. The template also included the husband as the main earner, a strict expectation of sexual faithfulness, and the idea that the couple would eventually become parents. Now, and this is a really important point, the source makes it very clear that many modern marriages challenge or completely reject some of these ideals. But for a very long time, this was the basic blueprint embedded in our society. Okay, so let's pull all these different threads together. Why does any of this matter? Why is it so important to see marriage as this big, powerful institution? What does it do? You can really boil it down to three main pillars. First, it's a form of social control, guiding our behavior and our goals in ways that society generally approves of. Second, it gives us a unique identity. Being a husband or a wife is a public status unlike any other. And finally, it provides stability. It creates those boundaries that, to go back to Durkheim, stop our universe of desire from just flying apart. And this graphic right here just pulls it all together beautifully. You can see the whole flow. Personal attraction leads to a formal contract, which provides structure for your life. That structure then builds social capital and assigns you these well-understood roles, all of which contributes to broader social stability. It's the complete architectural plan, showing how a private relationship supports a public good. And all of this leaves us with one last massive question. This blueprint, this institution, has been unbelievably durable for centuries. But our world is changing, right? Our ideas about gender, family, and work are evolving fast. So the question for us is, which parts of this blueprint will last, and which parts are going to be torn down and redesigned for the future? That's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.